You know what? All my years is speaking to beautiful people is like there's one truth that's always stood out to me. It's a simple idea, but it's got the power to change everything and that truth is this. At the end of the day, it's always you versus you. Now, I want you to really think about that for a moment. In this great big world of ours, with all its challenges and opportunities, who is the one person you're truly competing against? It's not your neighbor. It's not your coworker, and it's certainly not that fellow on TV who seems to have it all figured out. No, the person you're really up against is staring right back at you in the mirror every morning. Life isn't about beating others. It's about becoming the best version of yourself. And let me tell you, that's a journey that never really ends. It's a daily choice, a constant battle against your own doubts, fears, and limit. I remember when I was just a farm boy in Idaho. We didn't have much, but we had a work ethic that could move mountains. Every day I wake up before the sun tend to the chickens, milk the cows, and then walk miles to school. And you know what? Every single day, I had a choice. I could complain about how hard it was, or I could choose to see it as an opportunity to grow stronger. That's the thing about focusing on yourself. It's not about being selfish. It's about taking responsibility for your own growth, your own happiness, your own success. Because here's the kicker. Nobody else can do it for you. I know what some of you might be, but Jim, what about all the obstacles out there? What about the economy? Or my boss? Or my circum? And to that I say, sure, those things are real. They exist. But they're not what determines your success. You do. Let me share a little story with you. Years ago, I met a young man. At one of my seminars, he came up to me afterwards, is all fired up, and said, "Mr. Rohn, I'm going to change my life. I'm going to be successful." And I said, "That's great. What are you going to do?" He replied, "I'm going to read all your books, listen to all your tapes, and attend to all your seminars." I looked at him and said, "Son, that's a great. But success isn't something you pursue. It's something you attract by the person you become. You see, that's the secret. It's not about chasing after success, like it's some kind of rabbit you're trying to catch. It's about working on yourself every single day. It's about developing your skills, expanding your knowledge, what's strengthening your character, because when you do that, success has a funny way of finding you. Now, let's talk about this idea of you versus you a little more. What does it really mean in practice? Well, it means setting your own standards and then constantly raising them. It means competing with the person you were yesterday, not with the Jones next door. Imagine you're running a race, but instead of looking at the other runners, you're focused solely on your own. Your goal isn't to be faster than everyone else. Your goal is to be faster than you were in your last. That's what you versus you looks like. And let me tell you, this mindset changes everything. When you're focused on your own growth, you stop worrying so much about what others are doing. You stop making excuses. You stop waiting for the perfect moment to start, because the perfect moment is now. And the perfect person to compete with is yourself. But here's the thing. This journey of self-improvement, it's not always easy. There will be days when you don't feel like getting out of bed. Days when you want to give up on your dream. Days when that voice in your head tells you that you're not good enough. And you know what? That's okay. That's part of process. The key is to keep going anyway, to push through those doubts and fears. Remember why you started in the first. I once heard a story about a man who was walking through an elephant. He knows that these huge, powerful animals were being held in place by a small rope tied to their front leg. No chains, no cages. The man was amazed. These elephants could easily break free from the ropes, but they didn't. He asked a trainer why the elephants just stood there and made no attempt to get away. The trainer said when they are very young and much smaller, we use the same size rope to tie them in at that age. It's enough to hold them. As they grow up, they are conditioned to believe they cannot break away. They believe the rope can still hold them, so they never try to break free. How many of us go through life hang onto a belief that we cannot do something simply because we failed at it once before? How many of us are being held back by a small rope when we have the strength to break free? That's why it's so important to focus on yourself. Because when you do, you start to realize that those ropes holding your back, they're not real. They're just beliefs, and beliefs can be changed. Now, I want to talk about something that's crucial in this journey of self-improvement: discipline. You see, motivation is what gets you started, but discipline is what keeps you going. Think about it like this. Motivation is like the weather. Some days it's sunny and bright, and you feel like you can conquer the world. Other days it's cloudy and gloomy, and you can barely get out of bed. But discipline is like the climate. It's consistent. It's reliable. It's what you can count on day in and day out. I've always said that success is nothing more than a few simple practice every day. And failure is simply a few errors in judgment, repeated every day. It's the little things that make the big difference. Let me give you an example. You could wait until you feel motivated to eat better, but what happens when that motivation fad? No, the key is to build disc. To make healthy choices a habit, regardless of how you feel. Maybe you start by drinking an extra glass of water each day, or taking a 10-minute walk after dinner. This might seem like small things. And more importantly, they build your discipline muscle. Because here's the truth. Discipline is like a muscle. The more you use it, stronger it gets. And the stronger your discipline, the more you can achieve in your you versus you journey. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but Jim, discipline sounds hard. It sounds boring. Can you write sometimes it is? But let me ask you this. What's harder? The pain of discipline or the pain of regret? I met a lot of people in my life. Successful people, struggling people, and everyone in between. And I can tell you, I've never met anyone who regretted putting in the work to improve themselves. But I met plenty who regretted not doing it. You see, when you focus on yourself, when you commit to that daily discipline, something magical, you start to see progress. Maybe it's small at first. Maybe you can run a little further or resist that temptation a little easier, but those small wins, they add up, they build momentum. And before you know it, you're achieving things you never thought possible. But here's the catch. You've got to be. Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither is a better you. It takes time. It takes consistency. It takes showing up day after day, even when you don't feel like it. I remember when I first started my journey of personal development, I was working as a stock clerk making minimum wage. I was broke, not just financially, but spiritually and emotionally too. And then someone introduced me to a personal development seminar. Now I didn't have much money, but I scraped together what I could to attend. And let me tell you, it changed my life. Not because it gave me all the answers, but because it showed me that I had the power to define those answers within myself. But here's the thing. That seminar wasn't a magic pill. It was just the beginning. The real work came after, in the quiet moments when no one was watching. It came in the early mornings when I chose to read a book instead of sleeping in. It came in the evening when I chose to work on my skills instead of watching TV. And you know what? It wasn't always fun. There were days when I wanted to give up. Days when I questioned if it was all worth it. But I kept going. I kept focusing on myself, on becoming better than I was yesterday. And that's what I want for each and every one of you. I want you to realize that you have that same power within you. The power to become the person you've always dreamed of. But it starts with a decision to focus on yourself, a decision to stop comparing yourself to others and start comparing yourself to who you were yesterday. You say comparison is the thief of joy. When you're constantly looking at what others have or what they've achieved, you're robbing yourself of the satisfaction of your own progress. You're setting yourself up for disappointment and frustration. Instead, I want you to start measuring yourself against your own standards. Are you better today than you were yesterday? Have you learned something new? Have you pushed yourself out of your comfort zone? These are the questions that matter. Because here's the truth. There will always be someone who's further along than you. Someone who's richer or smarter or more successful. But that doesn't diminish your own journey. Your path is unique to you, and that's what makes it beautiful. I want you to imagine for a moment that you're planting a tree. You dig the hole, you place the seedling, you water it, and tend to it. But you don't see results right away, do you? It takes time. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months. And still, you might not see much progress. But here's the key. You keep watering it anyway. You keep tending to it anyway because you know that beneath the surface, roots are growing. You know that with time and care, that little seedling will grow into a mite. That's what personal growth is like. It's planting seeds every day through your actions and habits. It's nurturing those seeds even when you can't see the results yet. It's having faith in the process, knowing that your efforts will bear fruit in time. And let me tell you, there's nothing more satisfying than looking back after months or years and seeing how far seeing that tree that's grown from your consistent efforts. Now I want to talk about something. It's crucial. In this journey of self-improvement, your mindset. You see, your mind is like a garden. You can let it grow wild, full of weeds and thorns. Or you can cultivate it planting seeds of positivity and grow. And here's the thing. You're the garden. You get to choose what you plant in that garden of your mind. You get to choose what thoughts you nurture and what thoughts you weed out. This is why it's so important to be mindful of what you feed your mind, the books you read, the conversations you have, the thoughts you entertain. They all shape who you become. I've always said that you are the average of are people you spend the most time with, but I take that a step further and say, you're also the average of the 5 thoughts you think most. So what are you thinking about most of? Are you dwelling on your problems or are you focusing on solutions? Are you complaining about what you lack or are you grateful for what you have? Are you thinking about why you can't achieve your dreams? Or are you planning how you will? These questions matter because your thoughts shape they influence your actions, your decisions, your very perception of the world around you. I remember a story about 2 shoe salesmen who were sent to a developing country. To assess the market potential, the first salesman called back and said, "Situation hopeless. No one wears shoes." The second called back and said, "Glorious opportunity. Everyone needs shoes." Same situation. 2 completely different perspectives. And you know what? Both were right. Because our reality is shaped by how we choose to see it. This is why focusing on yourself is so crucial. Because when you do, you start to realize that you have the power to shape your own reality. You have the power to choose your perspective, to cultivate your mindset, to write your own story. But this power comes with the responsibility to constantly work on yourself, to challenge your own thoughts and beliefs, to push beyond your comfort. You see, growth happens outside of your comfort zone. It's in those moments of discomfort, of uncertainty, of fear, that you truly discover what you're capable of. I want you to think about a time when you faced a challenge that seemed insurmountable. Maybe it was starting a new job, or learning a new skill, or overcoming a personal setback. Remember how scary it felt at first, how you doubted yourself. But then you pushed through, you took that first step, and then another, and another. And before you knew it, you had conquered that. Aren't you a grown? That's what the journey of self-improvement is all about. It's about constantly seeking out those challenges, those opportunities for growth. It's about embracing discomfort, knowing that on the other side of it lies progress. Now I know what some of you might be thinking, but Jim, what if I fail? What if I try and it doesn't work out? And to that I say, good. Fail. You see, failure isn't the opposite of, it's part of success. Every failure is a lesson, an opportunity to learn and grow. The only real failure is giving up. Or, worse, never trying in the first place. I failed more times than I can. But you know what? Each of those failures taught me something. Each of them made me stronger, wiser, more resilient. And I wouldn't trade those experiences for anything. Because here's the truth. This is not a destination. It's a journey. It's a process of becoming, and that process involves failure, setbacks, and obstacles. But it also involves growth and incredible joy. And that's why it's so important to focus on yourself. Because when you do, you start to see those figures not as end, but as beginnings. You start to see obstacles, not as roadblocks, but as opportunities to grow stronger. You see, life will throw curveballs but it's not about avoiding those curveball. It's about learning how to hit them and that brings me to another crucial point. Brazilian, the ability to bounce back, to keep going when things get tough. This is perhaps the most important skill you can develop in your journey of self-improvement. Resilience isn't about never falling down. It's about always getting back up. It's about facing adversity with courage and determination. It's about maintaining hope and optimism in the face of challenges. I want you to think of resilience like a rubber band. When it snaps back, that's you. Every challenge, every setback, every obstacle is just stretching you, preparing you to snap back stronger than ever. But here's the key. Resilience isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. You build it through facing challenges head on. You build it by pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. You build it by focusing on yourself and your own growth, regardless of what's happening around you. Now, I want to talk about something that's often overlooked in the journey of self-improvement: celebration. Yes, you heard me right. In our rush to achieve more, to be more, we often forget to celebrate how far we've come. We're so focused on the next goal that we don't take time to appreciate the progress we've already made. But here's the thing. Celebration is crucial. It's not just a nice to have, it's a must have. Because when you celebrate your wins, no matter how small, you're reinforcing positive behavior. You're telling your brain, hey, this feels good. Let's do. So I want you to make a habit of celebrating your progress. Did you stick to your workout routine this week? Celebrate that. Did you finally start that project you've been putting off? Celebrate that. Did you choose a healthy meal instead of fast food? Celebrate that. too. She seemed like small things. But remember, success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. And celebrating those disciplines helps ensure that you keep practicing. Now, as we near the end of our time together, I want to circle back to where we started. Remember, it's always you versus you, not you versus the world, not you versus your neighbor or your coworker or anyone else, just you versus, and you know what? That's a beautiful thing because it means that your success, your happiness, your fulfillment, it's all within your control. It's not dependent on anyone else. It's all about the choices you make, the actions you take, the person you be. Now, I want you to really let that sink in. It's in your hands. That's both a tremendous responsibility and an incredible opportunity because it means that no matter where you are right now, no matter what your circumstances, you have the power to change, to grow, to become better. But here's the kitchen. This power, this potential within you, it's not going to realize. You've got like a conscious decision to tap into it. You've got to commit to focusing on yourself, to working on yourself every single day. And let me tell you, that commitment, that decision to focus on yourself, it's going to change everything. Because when you start focusing on your own growth, your own improvement, something magical happens. The world around you starts to change. You see, as you become better, your life becomes better. As you grow, your capacity to handle what's challenges grows too. As you improved, new opportunities start to open up. It's like you're upgrading the operating system of your... But remember, this isn't about becoming perfect. There's no such thing as perfection. This is about progress. It's about being a little bit better today than you were yesterday. It's about continuous, never-ending improvement. I want you to imagine for a moment that you're climbing a mountain. Now, when you're at the bottom, looking up, that peak can seem impossibly far away. It can be overwhelming. But you know what? You don't climb a mountain in one giant leap. You climb it one step at a time. And that's exactly how you should approach this journey of one step at a time, one day at a time, one choice at a time. Maybe today, that step is reading a few pages of a good book. Maybe it's having a difficult but necessary conversation. Maybe it's resisting a temptation that you know isn't good for you. Whatever it is, take that step. And then tomorrow, take another one. Because there's the truth. Those steps add up over time. They create momentum. And before you know it, you'll look back and be amazed at how far you've come. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but Jim, what about luck? Don't some people just get lucky? And to that I say, sure, luck plays a role. But you know what? You can create your own luck by being prepared, by constantly working on yourself, by being the best version of yourself that you can be. Because when you do that, you start to notice opportunities that others miss. You start to add how much success into your life. I once heard someone say, luck is what happens when preparation meets. And I couldn't agree more. So focus on preparing. Focus on becoming the kind of person who can recognize and seize opportunities when they come along. And speaking of opportunities, let me share something with you that I've learned over the years. Opportunities are everywhere. They're all around us all the time. The question is, are you ready for them? You see, when you focus on yourself, when you commit to your own growth and development, you're preparing yourself for those you're sharpening your skills, expanding your knowledge, what's strengthening your character. And when you do that, you start to see opportunities where others see OB. I remember a story about a young man who was working as a janitor in a large corporation. Every day as he cleaned the offices, he would pick up discarded reports and memos from the trash. And you know what he did? He read them. He studied He learned about the business. One day there was a crisis and a big client was threatening to leave and nobody knew how to handle it. But this young man, this janitor, he spoke up. He offered a solution based on all the knowledge he had gained from those discarded reports. And you know what? His solution worked. You saved the client. And he ended up being promoted to math now. Was that luck? Maybe a little. But it was also preparation meeting, opportunity. It was someone who was constantly working on himself, constantly learning, constantly growing. And when the opportunity came, he was ready for it. That's what I want for each and every one of you. I want you to be ready for the opportunities that life will throw your way, ready to seize them, to make the most of them. But being ready isn't just about knowledge or skills. It's also about your mind. It's about how you see yourself in the world around you. It's about your attitude. Attitude is everything. It's the lens through which you view the world. And the beautiful thing is, you get to choose your attitude. You get to decide how you're going to approach each day, each challenge, each opportunity. I want you to wake up each morning and make a conscious decision about your attitude. Choose positivity. Choose gratitude. Choose to see the opportunities in because when you do that, you're setting yourself up for success before you even walk out the door. Now I know life isn't always. There will be days when it's hard to stay positive. Days when you feel like giving up. And that's okay. That's part of being human. But here's what I want you to remember in those moments. This too shall pass. Whatever challenge you're facing, whatever obstacle is in your way, it's temper. It's not permanent. And more importantly, it's an opportunity for growth. It's a chance to become stronger, wiser, more resilient. So instead of asking, why is this happening? Ask, what can I learn from this? How can I use this to become better? Because when you do that, you're turning adversity into advantage. You're using every experience, good or bad, as fuel for your personal growth. And that is the essence of focusing on yourself. It's about taking everything life throws at you and using it to become better. It's about seeing every experience as an opportunity to learn, to grow, to improve. Now, as we start to wrap up our time together, I want to leave you with a challenge to truly commit to focusing on yourself, to make your personal growth and development a priority in your life. I want you to start each day by asking yourself, what can I do today to become better than I was yesterday? Maybe it's learning something new. Maybe it's breaking a bad habit. Maybe it's doing something that scares you a little. Whatever it is, do it. Take that step. And then, at the end of each day, I want you to reflect. Ask yourself, how did I grow today? What did I learn? How am I better now than I was this morning? Make this a daily practice, because when you do, you're creating a feedback loop of constant improvement. Remember, success is not something you pursue. It's something you attract by the person you become. So focus on becoming, focus on growing, focus on improving, and trust that as you do, success will find its way to you. You see, when you truly commit to focusing on yourself, to become the best version of yourself, something amazing happens. You start to inspire others. You become a beacon of possibility. People look at you and think, if they can do it, maybe I can too. And that, my friends, is how you change the world. Not by trying to change others, but by focusing on changing yourself. By being an example of what's possible when someone commits to their own growth and development. So as you leave here today, I want you to remember this. It's always you versus you. The person you're competing against, The person you're trying to outdo is the person you were yesterday. And when you focus on that, when you make that your priority, there's no limit to what you can achieve. You have greatness within you. You have potential that you haven't even begun to tap into. And it's all just waiting to be unleashed. All it takes is for you to make the decision to focus on yourself, the decision to commit to your own growth and development, the decision to become the best version of yourself. So what do you say? Are you ready to make that commitment? Are you ready to focus on you? Are you ready to see just how far you can go? Because I believe in you. I believe in your potential. I believe that you have within you everything. You need to create an extraordinary life. All you have to do is believe it too, and then act on that belief every single day. Remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about progress. Stop being a little bit better today than you were yesterday. It's about continuous, never-ending improvement. So go out there and focus on you. Invest in yourself. Work on yourself. Believe in yourself. Because when you do, amazing things will happen. Your life will transform in ways you can't even imagine right now. When you look back on this moment, you'll realize that this was the turning point. This was the moment when this was the moment when you decided to focus on you, to commit to your own growth. And that decision made all the difference. So here's to you. Here's to your growth. Here's to your success. And here's to the incredible journey that lies ahead. Because remember, in the end, it's always you versus you.